Hey there guys, this is Malorian and this will be a Warmachine 101. Now this one here, the quest, I put it up here on the Warmachine YouTubers Google Plus page and I said, what do you want me to do a Warmachine 101 on? And Lord Stannis Baratheon had a really great one, I feel, where he said, choosing between the scenario and or the assassination run. Now, what this is really referring to is you've played the game, things are starting to whittle down, you're starting to find yourself ahead, and you're trying to decide, do I want to try and end this now with an assassination, or do I want to start shifting towards the scenario game? And that's a very big question to ask, because the wrong answer could lose you the game. I mean, really, if you're looking at this, you can look at this in different ways, right? Maybe you're ahead, maybe you're behind, but really, if you're behind, you're probably just looking at the assassination. If you're looking at scenario, you're probably ahead on pieces. So, looking into that, the very first thing is really just looking at what pieces are left. Really, for the scenario, when you want to play the scenario side, clearly the very first question is, what is currently the scenario situation? I mean, if I'm sitting at 4 points to nothing, well, sure, I'm just going to go across, grab 1 point, and it's game over. If it's 0-0, okay, now I have to really look forward, saying, okay, what zones, what flags can I really secure? Where can I get points? Do they have the units and models that they can actually contest? That can be a very big one. If all of a sudden one side of the board is pretty much now cleared of enemy troops, well, you can very safely put something on that zone, on that flag, and start scoring, and there's not very much your opponent can do. And it's a very safe and easy way to coast into a victory. Now, along with this as well, when you're looking at what the current scenario points are between you, what models are left to see if they can actually come over and contest, another big factor for the scenario is asking yourself, okay, at this point, how many more turns will be required, and actually trying to look ahead to try and see if you actually can lock this down. A very good example of this, in one spot where people can make mistakes, and they'll say like, oh, this is actually open over here, and I can score on this turn, they can't get to their turn, so I'm going to score again, and on my turn, I'll score again. I mean, look at this, I'm so far ahead, I'm going to win this. Well, as they kind of shift over to this scenario game, they're not realizing that as this plays out, and sure, they might get up 3 scenario points, well, in that time now, their Colossal can get another zone, and now it's locked down. Or, here's the other thing, you gotta also think of that, if you're going for a scenario, you're all of a sudden, you're telling your opponent, whoa, scenario is actually a thing, and they might turn up their scenario game. And sure, you might be able to slowly score a little bit over here, but if they start doing something else and start dominating and beat you in the race to scenario, that doesn't help either. So it's kind of a very more complicated thing. We have to really look at the board, see what the current game state is, but really make sure you're looking at those 3 main things. What currently is the scores for the scenario, what pieces are left, and given those pieces, how long can I actually keep scoring? And with that too, am I going to be winning in the end with that? Now, the other part of this too was asked about, what about the assassination? Well, the assassination can be, again, a very big part where, hey, you can win you the game right away just like this. However, if you screw it up, you're in a lot of trouble. So looking at the assassination run, the biggest thing you have to look at is clearly just the percentage and the risk. Now, the percentage is really, what do I need to do to make this happen? If I need to have 6, 7 pluses happen in a row, well, guess what? Odds are that's not going to happen. However, if all I need to do is say, oh, I got to hit a boosted 6 and then hit a boosted 8, oh, okay, that's really good odds. But at the same time, what are the risks? If you're needing to do this assassination with your caster and it fails, what position does that put you in? Of course, if you're just setting up a jack or some troops and you're like, oh, they got an 80% assassination, and if it fails, it's just some troops. My caster's safe. That's good. If you have an 80% assassination with your caster, Well, that probably means that 20% of the time you're going to lose. So do you really want to do that? Do you just want to attrition a little bit more? And that usually becomes a big difference between the scenario game and the assassination game. If you're going for the scenario, you need to get on to that right away. If you make that decision, all right, let's clear a zone, let's get some points because we need to get this ball rolling. Assassination, you may make that decision that I want to go for assassination, but I want to attrition a little bit more first. Because sure, maybe right now it's an 80% assassination with that 20% risk because my caster will die. But if I just take another turn, kill these pieces, well, then all of a sudden next turn I might be looking at the same 80% assassination, but now I'm doing with troops or something else, so that risk is really far down, right? So that can usually be a very big difference between the two. Now, clearly the most risky between the two is typically going to be the assassination. A lot of times if you're going for a scenario, it has a lot to do with clearing zones and killing things around flags, so you're still attritioning anyway. So if you fail, if you decide I'm going to go for a scenario and like, oh damn, all I did is kill a bunch of stuff, well, you still killed a bunch of stuff. When you go for assassination and you fail, that's a really big deal because now, okay, I was killing only pinpoint things, or maybe I was only going for the caster. And if I failed, wow, all of a sudden they're going to come back. And after that attrition coming backwards, wow, maybe next turn, sure, there's zero risk. You failed the assassination, there's zero risk, they couldn't kill your caster, but now they've attrition so much more that your odds of assassination are going way down. You start saying like, man, I should be going for attrition or something else. So with that, that's why personally I really like the scenario game. But again, like we hinted at the start, sometimes that scenario game just isn't really possible. Maybe the pieces you have, like Kane 2, are really good at assassinating a caster, but killing that colossal that's in the zone, that's not really probably going to happen. So you really have to look for that's assassination. Or maybe, the odds are really turning against you. You just need this game over now. Okay, the assassination can really be a great way to go there too. As well as you can be looking at larger events. In larger events, scenario means probably a slower grind, trying to make this happen. Whereas the assassination means bam, done. I get the rest. Or maybe it means that I actually get some food. So there is a little bit more in there too if we're talking a bigger event. But overall, when you look at the numbers, scenario, if this is a real possibility, it's a lot easier to attrition and slowly work yourself into a scenario victory, keeping your caster safe. But man, those assassinations, when they work, they're awesome. Just look at that risk. So there you go. Thanks for the question, Lord Stannis Baratheon, and we'll catch you later. Bye.